How can I graph the inequality x is less than or equal to -2? So I'm going to look at my coordinate plane and identify where the x and the y values are. So this over here is x, this here is y. And then I am going to find -2 on the x-axis, which is here. That is -2. I'm going to place my point, and then I'm going to look to figure out what the next point might be. Now, x is -2 is going to be where every value of x is -2. If I go here, this is the point -1, comma 1. So that's not x equals -2. If I go over here, that's now x at -5. So if I go straight up and down, this is every point where x is -2. This is -2, 0, -2, 1, -2, 2, -2, 3. So all of these points have an x value of -2. So this is the equation, x is less than -2. So I put my points here, and then I need to decide if it's open or closed. This has a less than sign, less than or equal to sign. That means this line is closed. If the line was open, I would just tap the line. So now it's open. I can tap it again to be closed. If I put my point in the wrong spot, I can click it so it will go away, and then I can just put it back. Well, now I need to shade. It says that x is less than -2, so I'm going to look at the x-axis and see which numbers are less than -2. If I go to the left, all of these values are less than, because like -4 is less than -2, -6 is less than 2. But if I go this way, then all of these numbers are greater than -2. So I'm going to make sure I go that way. Now, when I have y, it's the same idea. I'm going to look at my y-axis up here and find the point 3. And then a y equation, a y is less than 3 equation, would have all of the y values being y. So if I graph over here, this would be 1, 3. This would be like 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3. So all of these y values are 3. So the equation y equals 3 is this line. I see that the symbol is less than. It is going to be an open line. So I want to make sure it's dotted here. And it says y is less than 3. So I'm going to look back at where my 3 is and ask myself, which way are the less than numbers? So is 4 less than 2, or is 4 less than 3, or is 2 less than 3? Well, 2 is less than 3, so that's a solution. And I would shade down here. So if I'm given an equation that's in this y equals form, the easiest way would be to identify the slope and the y-intercept. In an equation like this, the slope is always the number with x, and the y-intercept has no x. So here, this number is my slope, and this number is my y-intercept. So my slope is -2, my y-intercept is 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is start by putting the point for the y-intercept at +4. So I look at the y-axis and I put my point on 4. Now the slope is the change in y, so the change in the up or down, over the change in the x, change left or right. And now this slope is negative, so if it's a negative slope, the line is going to go down, and if it's a positive slope, the line is going to go up. So I have my intercept at 4, and now I'm going to graph my line 2. So I'm going to go down 2 points, leave that, I'm going to go down 2 on this y-axis, so 1, 2. And then I'm going to go to the right 1 because I can put this over 1 if it doesn't have a denominator. So I'm going to go back and look at my line. It's a closed line. And it says less than. So I'm going to look at my y-intercept here. And I'm going to see which numbers on the y-intercept are less. The numbers down here are less, so that will be my answer. I'm going to show an example like this. For this inequality, I can identify my slope. My slope is -2/3. And there is no number here, so my y-intercept is 0. So I'm going to put my y-intercept first, right there in the center. And I'm going to use my slope here. This -2 tells me my slope is going down. And it's going to go down by 2 units and then to the right 3. So starting at 0, 0, I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to go to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. I look back at my line. This is an open line, so I'm going to tap the line to make it dotted, and it is less, so I know that these numbers down here are less than y0. I might also get an equation that looks like this, where it's not in y equals form. So if I have this equation, I want to solve it for y. So I can subtract x from both sides, and I get y is greater than -x minus 4. I can then graph my intercept and my slope. If there's no number here, there's an invisible 1. So it means I'm going to go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1. Make sure it's an open line, and it says y is more than, so I'm going to shade up.